Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Elon said 14.3, the point releases will bring polish. Version 15 will far exceed human levels of safety, even in completely unsupervised and complex situations. I think there's too many people reading too far into this comment about version 15. Just remember, Tesla will never be done here. There will always be a new version of FSD in the works, effectively into perpetuity. Now, over time, the cadence and the frequency of which these new releases come out will go down. But just because version 15 is in the works does not mean that we won't see more scaling or more unsupervised with version 14. Now, it's certainly possible that Tesla might wait until V15 to really do serious scaling, but I'm just saying at this point we don't know, and this comment alone doesn't mean that's the case. Elon also said, our rate of advancement with the small model has been so fast that the large model has not yet caught up. V15 will be the large model, aka the one with 10x the parameter count. Given that the fleet got version 14 in Q4 last year, we likely won't see version 15 until sometime around Q4 this year. So we likely have many months. We will revisit the 10x parameter count and all of the implications when we get closer to version 15. But I do think the first part is good news for Hardware 3 owners that Tesla keeps making pretty good progress with the smaller model. And I think most of us know it here, but Elon did say Tesla puts a lot of effort into ensuring that our cars don't run over animals. And as someone who has an admittedly unnecessarily soft spot for animals, I love to see it. And we just got the news that supervised FSD has been approved in the Netherlands and will begin rolling out in the country shortly. Tesla said, we're excited to bring FSD supervised to more European countries soon. And remember, Tesla said, following the Netherlands approval, which we just got officially, European countries will be able to recognize this approval nationally. We're anticipating a possible EU-wide approval during the summer. Over the past 18 months, this approval has involved a series of intense documentation, development, testing, research, and audits. So now other EU member states have the option to choose to recognize this type approval from the RDW. But the best news of all, they do not have to go through an extensive testing process. They can just recognize the process that the RDW and Tesla already went through. As far as I can tell, all they have to do is notify the RDW in writing. So now the floodgates can open for supervised FSD across the EU. It'll just be up to each country to accept it. And now the word is that the RDW on Tesla's behalf is going to use this type approval to try to get an Article 39 exemption at the EU level. And there would be some voting, but if they got a qualified majority, then that exemption would apply across all EU member states. And the good news, even if that EU-wide approval fails for whatever reason, individually each country can still decide to recognize it on its own. So the rollout begins now in the Netherlands, and it could be just a matter of weeks before we have a handful of other countries. And the RDW did put out an official release, so there's no denying what Tesla's saying this time. And they said, due to the continuous strict monitoring of the driver in the vehicle, the system is safer than other driver assistance systems. We've thoroughly researched and checked the system more than a year and a half. The RDW has issued a type approval for supervised FSD. This driver's assistance system has been extensively researched and tested on our test track and on public roads for more than a year and a half. Safety is paramount for the RDW. The proper use of this driver's system makes a positive contribution to road safety. And on the Tesla configurator for the Netherlands, you can now add supervised FSD officially for 99 euros per month, or they're currently giving the option for 7,500 euros as a one-time purchase. Phil Duan from Tesla said, when we were building the explicit stack in 2019, the Netherlands, especially Amsterdam, gave us major headaches. So many pedestrians and bikes on narrow streets. Today, FSD just works out of the box. Generalization is a beautiful thing. And Elon said the RDW was extremely rigorous in their review. So the videos and the reactions and everybody getting to experience this technology coming from the bare bones is going to be a lot of fun over the next few months. When it comes to the Reuters report that Tesla is now developing another new, smaller, cheaper EV, I am going to quickly go through exactly what they said because I do think there's probably some level of truth here, meaning there's a good chance Tesla is actually having talks about the possibility of doing something like this with suppliers. Just remember, over the years, Tesla has considered many new vehicles and very few actually make it to production. But before I share anything, just know that Tesla China has already denied this Reuters report. Tesla China told this Chinese financial outlet that the market information claiming Tesla's developing a new, smaller, and cheaper electric SUV is inaccurate. However, the problem is that both Elon and Tesla have denied things in the past that actually turned out to be true. In the past, Reuters reported that Tesla was shelving the Model 2, as everybody was calling it. He said that was false at the time, but so far, that's turned out to be true. Tesla did very clearly shift its focus to the Cybercab. So Reuters has lied and had bad information on Tesla in the past. Tesla and Elon have called reports false that were actually true in the past. And even if it was true, Tesla would have an incentive to deny it so as to not Osborne current sales, meaning Tesla would want to make an announcement like this when it's actually ready to do so. But the reports, Tesla has contacted suppliers in recent weeks to discuss details of the plan for a compact SUV, which would be a new vehicle, not a new version of the 3 or Y. The conversations involved the manufacturing process and specifications for various components. 3 of the people said the compact SUV would be produced in China, and 1 said Tesla also aims to expand production to the US and Europe. The car would be about 14 feet long, which is 1.7 feet shorter than Tesla's Model Y. The big question, would this be a shift from Tesla back to a mass-market, human-driven EV, or one that would align with Tesla's vision for fully autonomous vehicles? Well, according to one of the people familiar with the new vehicle project and a Tesla employee with knowledge of its current product philosophy, such a model could potentially serve both purposes. And Farzad has to be loving this one. While aiming for full autonomy across its lineup, the person said Tesla realizes many global markets won't see meaningful adoption or regulatory acceptance of driverless vehicles for years. Preserving the option to build a particular model with or without driving controls could enable more sales and help ensure Tesla can keep its car factories running near capacity, which of course is the Farzad argument in a nutshell. The 4 people familiar with the project said it remained in an early development stage. Reuters could not determine whether Tesla has given the green light for the car's production. 2 of the sources said Tesla aims to offer the new vehicle at a substantially lower price than its entry-level Model 3, which starts at around $37,000 in the US. They said Tesla planned to save costs in part by using a smaller battery, which would mean less range than the current Model Y. One of the people said Tesla would also offer a single electric motor instead of 2, which we know is a performance option on the current lineup. Tesla also wants to make the car much lighter, about 1.5 metric tons compared with about 2 tons for the Model Y. And given that 1 metric ton is about 2,200 pounds, that would be a roughly 1,100 pound difference. So whatever this is, if this is real, is certainly not that bigger, proper, new cyber SUV that Tesla also might have in the works. Again, 3 of the people said this model would be produced at Giga Shanghai, but the timing remained unclear and the car's production is unlikely to begin this year. No surprise there. And I do think to some degree Tesla will always be considering all options on what it can do as the data and the technology and everything changes. If you see the news that as of May 28th this year, the Texas DMV will start requiring authorization to operate automated vehicles on Texas roads for commercial purposes, which does indeed cover Tesla's Robotaxi operations. Just know this will likely change nothing for Tesla. They will simply apply when the window opens early next month, and they should comfortably get the approval and continue running operations just as it is now. But yes, it is true that the Texas DMV will enforce these new rules requiring this specific authorization, and it will be in effect by May 28th this year. Good Faith Energy put out an awesome video on Tesla's new solar panel. It genuinely felt like an advertisement for the new 420 watt panel. But all of the detail and the specs about the new panel have been out there for weeks, so I just put together this one pager with all of those specs and features. If you'd like to pause and take a screenshot, I personally enjoy having these in a folder on all my different devices for Tesla's different products, so I can reference them pretty easily and remind myself over time of all of the information so I can commit it to long-term memory. And in case anyone ever asks you about Tesla's new solar panel, you can share this with them. I know for a fact this one will go overlooked, but construction at Neoen's Mushe battery has moved from concept to reality. Site work is officially underway for Neoen's first 6-hour long-duration battery powered by Tesla Megapacks. This as part of Tesla's EPC-led project, meaning Tesla is responsible for the engineering, procurement, and construction. AKA Tesla has taken responsibility for the entire project delivery. Over the coming months, the team will complete major civil activities and prepare for the arrival of Tesla Megapacks and associated infrastructure. This one will use 252 Tesla Megapack 2XLs for a 905 megawatt hour project. So it's pretty big, not massive though, but the real news here is this is one of Tesla's first global deployments of a 6-hour duration battery project. Primarily to date, Tesla has only done 2 or 4 hour duration. And yes, if you do the math, 905 megawatt hour capacity divided by the 164 megawatt power output, that's really 5.5, but they consider it a 6-hour battery. Now, to date, this really has not been a technology problem. Tesla has been able to technically build 6-hour batteries now for years. The problem is most projects were not willing to pay the extra price for the 6-hour duration. But look what just happened. Big batteries are now going to get paid a lot more for having 6 hours of storage instead of 4. The regulator in Western Australia has recommended a dramatic increase in capacity payments for big batteries in the coming years. The latest assessment is based on the new requirement that a battery with 6 hours of storage should be regarded as the benchmark for the state rather than 4 hours, and the 2 hours of battery storage that has previously dominated installations in the eastern states. These annual capacity payments will now be over $491,000 per megawatt starting in 2028, up from just over $360,000 in the current year. And remember, Western Australia's grid is independent, so it's not connected to the rest of Australia. And their grid is about to shut down the last of the remaining coal plants within the next few years. So the state has now decided it wants more longer duration storage. That is the new standard to cover the evening peaks and the times when solar and wind production are lower. And so in short, these capacity payments are paid to the owner-operators of these battery storage projects. And in return, they just have to keep a set level of capacity available at all times for the grid. They said the Mushe battery will be our 9th battery installation project and our 6th one for Neoen and in partnership with Tesla. So not only is this a repeat customer scenario for Tesla, but more importantly, this is Tesla's foray into the long duration battery storage segment. But the best news, this unit economics flip that happened in Western Australia is happening around the world as well, thanks to these capacity payments for the deployment of more cells, which leads to better arbitrage, and the longer duration is even more reliable for the grid. And just basic math alone here, at the same megawatt rating for a project, a 6-hour duration project is going to use 50% more megapacks than a 4-hour project, meaning more megapacks per project, again for the same megawatt rating. And there's actually much more to talk about here, but I'm going to save it for a future episode for a good reason. Just know this shift to longer duration battery projects is underway globally, and now Tesla is directly participating in it. Waymo just announced a new partnership with Waze to combat the problem of potholes. The pilot program uses Waymo's perception and physical feedback systems to detect and provide up-to-date info on potholes where Waymo operates. The data will be available to cities and the state departments of transportation through the free-to-use Waze for Cities platform, alongside user-reported pothole information. I really do wish Tesla was doing something publicly with all of this, especially when it comes to cars being able to alert other cars in the fleet, but this data will be visible to Waze users in the cities where Waymo operates, keeping road users safe by alerting them as they approach a pothole. And if you've never used Waze, just like other features that are reportable in the Waze app, users will be able to verify the Waymo identified potholes, increasing the data's accuracy. They said we'll launch this pilot in our first 5 cities, the San Francisco Bay Area, LA, Phoenix, Austin, and Atlanta. Over time, we'll expand this partnership to more cities we serve. So this does not mean Waymo's going to get magically better at avoiding potholes. It's really just a detection pilot to let the city know, hey guys, you need to fix this. And Waze users will be able to see all of the potholes that Waymo has brought attention to and confirm them. And just be grateful if you live in an area where this is not a problem for you, because for me it is. I actually have to disengage on my most regular routes where I live right now because of potholes. Tesla has reportedly added China-based Sunwoda to its global battery supply chain. This means Sunwoda has become Tesla's 5th global battery supplier. Cells have reportedly started shipping from the company's facility in Yiwu, China, and are currently being used in vehicles produced at Giga Shanghai for export markets. The batteries have reportedly not yet been deployed in vehicles sold in China. Unlike prior arrangements, Tesla is buying battery cells only from Sunwoda while retaining control over module and pack assembly. This marks a shift from earlier reliance on suppliers for integrated modules and gives Tesla China greater flexibility over cost, design, and scaling. Sunwoda's cells use 3rd generation LFP cells capable of 3C charging rates. This is one of those that won't change a whole lot for the end customer, but it's not like Tesla adds battery cell suppliers every day. This is only 5 total. They'd be in addition to BYD, CATL, LG, and Panasonic. Sunwoda ranks as the 8th largest battery maker in China as of February this year, but on a global scale, it doesn't yet fit into the top 10 battery makers. But Tesla is clearly building out its LFP supply chain. SETI Park shared a patent saying that Tesla's wiper problem seems like it will be resolved soon. But Yoon Tasai said we've already implemented it to all of the fleet. And when Yunta was asked about how FSD controls the wiper fluid and the defrosting, Yunta said some winter improvements are now part of 14.3. So Tesla's clearly still working on solutions here, but at least for me, auto wipers on 14.2, the latest version, are still not very good. Ashley Vance and the Core Memory team finally put out their exclusive first look inside the Tesla Semi factory. My biggest takeaway from the video, some areas are definitely fully done and look good, but others are still a work in progress. This tour actually happened early March, and at that point it seemed to be clear we were definitely at least a few weeks away from higher production. As expected, Tesla will have a lot of collaboration going on between Giga Nevada and this new Semi factory. Tesla now has stamping on site. They're getting some injection molded parts from Giga Nevada, and the layout was actually pretty interesting for this factory, which seemed to be focused around this overhead conveyor system. So the complete Semi cab is basically put onto these overhead carriers and goes through this system suspended in the air while it moves to the coatings area for corrosion protection and the visual finish. Priestley said these carriers are among the biggest ones in the world, and this process is how they take the initial frame plus all of the heavier sub-assemblies like the battery packs, the drive axle, the steer axle, and so on, where the total assembly weight will be over 10,000 pounds, but these carriers actually automatically adjust vertically to match the exact operator height at every station. We got a glimpse of how Tesla has the 3 identical battery packs in the Semi mounted in parallel. Right now, this process is still somewhat manual, but Tesla said over time that'll become more automated. And Priestley did say the Tesla Semi is using the same cells as the Cybertruck. So there wasn't a ton of news or new data in this video, but it was really cool to see parts of the process actually in action and to get a sense for the scale of this site. I will of course have the full video linked below. Tesla has now made the new Model Y-L available in Israel. Orders are now open with first delivery starting June of this year. But now that's in addition to China, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Singapore, just to name a few. And in some markets there have been price hikes and delivery windows being pushed back. So anecdotally, things seem to be going well for Tesla with this variant. Tesla's supervised FSD miles tracker currently sits at 9.16 billion miles driven. Right now, it appears to be going up about 600 million miles every month or so, so we should cross that 10 billion number sometime in the next 2 months. As Sawyer mentioned, Tesla appears to be in the process of replacing the white interior with what it's calling a Zen Gray interior. For now, it's for premium trim Model Ys coming from Giga Shanghai. But this will of course affect markets like Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Japan, Japan, the Philippines, and so on. And really looking at the difference in pictures, it's not super noticeable. It looks to be just a slight addition of a cream color to the white. So it's almost like an off-white, which I do actually like. It might be a little bit more calming and relaxing, maybe a bit more mature, less stark and less crisp than the original white. But with this new Zen Gray, some of the trim pieces are no longer black. They're now also Zen Gray. Things like the armrests and the center console, some trim in certain parts of the vehicle, where you grab the handle, and so on. Personally, I'm trying to withhold judgment until I can see it in person, but there's at least a chance that this trend does continue globally in time. And to circle back, in case you're starting to agree with Farzad that the Cybercab's going to come with a steering wheel, Joe Tetmeyer said the current steering wheel and pedals for these engineering vehicles requires portions of the dashboard to be removed in order for this kit to be added. There is not a completed dashboard or interior pieces to make this into a completed production-ready vehicle. He said there's the main production line for final versions that will be used for passengers, and these vehicles are noticeably different from those used for the engineering test versions. Once these are observed, it will be obvious. There is a parallel line that's meant only to make these engineering versions with a modular kit that includes the Cybertruck steering wheel, accelerator, and brake pedals. This kit is bolted in after removing a part of the dashboard. These vehicles are wrapped with a golden color on top on non-molded in colored body panels. And as we've been saying, there is a need for the engineering versions for some time to come as new locations are added to the areas where Robotaxi service will be deployed, and this will be true for quite some time. Tesla made some minor updates to the Robotaxi app. It now clearly says there's space for 4 riders in the Model Y, and it says do not sit in the driver's seat. The vehicle lights on the Robotaxi will pulse on arrival, and it tells riders to wait for the pulse before boarding. It says the vehicle will wait for up to 7 minutes, but will leave if the timer runs out. And Tesla says we may use interior cameras to ensure your safety during the ride. Talker.io said it has refined dark and light themes, smoother navigation, cleaner map views, and a much more polished flow from booking to arrivals. My goal today was a 13-minute video for all of you that always ask me for shorter videos. We'll see what I can do heading into the edit. But Tesla stock closed the day at $348.95, up 0.96%, while the NDX was up 0.14%. The volume was 21% below the average. You may recall a few videos ago I introduced a new channel sponsor, Sunday Lawn Care, a non-toxic approach. Naturally, that video was one of the worst ones I've done viewership-wise in the past few months. So I just wanted to mention it again. After only one application, things are looking up already. And how much of the improvement is rain and time versus the application, I'm not sure. It's still early. But most importantly, I do think this is a company worth supporting once you look into some of the chemicals that these other companies are using. So if you missed that video and you have any interest in taking care of your lawn in a better way, I would recommend checking out Sunday Lawn Care. I just got my own soil sample results back. I'll probably share those in the future, but I'll have all of the information and the savings for Electrified community members linked below. Hope you all have a safe and wonderful weekend, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.